And up until very recently, the system was working. But there's someone we haven't accounted for. You?
Westworld is back, and with that comes a Nerd Soup Theory video that we said we weren't going to do this season. So much for humans not having free will. Or maybe this was inevitable, and we were supposed to return to our loops, no matter how many times we said we weren't. I hate this show sometimes. In episode 1, we are introduced to Rehoboam, a system that seemingly can predict the future, while analytically putting people on the right path in order to create a better world. Dolores is brought to the system by Liam Dempsey Jr., the son of Insight co-founder Liam Dempsey Sr. Liam tells Dolores that his father believed that if you can chart a course for every person, the world will be a better place.
My dad thought the biggest problem in the world was unrealized potential. He thought that if you could chart a course for every single person, you could make the world a better place.
He also reveals later that no one knows what the system is doing other than its original architect, Ingharad Sarek. In a conversation with Maeve, Sarek talks of a war that hasn't happened yet, one that is already lost, and claims his work isn't to predict the future, but to create it. However, the introductions of Maeve and Dolores are something that they couldn't account for. It seems Sarek is planning to use this system with the help of Maeve to write a new future, one where they stop Dolores and humanity survives. So far, a visual representation of the Rehoboam system and its predecessors have been shown in a teaser trailer and periodically throughout each episode. It portrays events in a circular timeline, and detects divergences taking place across the globe. These circular timelines may represent Rehoboam's ability to interpret time in a non-linear fashion. But before discussing that, I want to go over the significance of the events highlighted by Rehoboam's timeline. The divergence of the vector that illustrates the events of Westworld is shown to be considerably larger than the ones previously portrayed, such as the Second Russian Civil War, showing just how much of a threat Dolores represents. It also shows that on April 17, 2039, the system was initiated under the Solomon build. Assuming that the Solomon system was a predecessor to the Rehoboam system, this adds another wrinkle to an already complex system. In the Hebrew Bible, Rehoboam was the first king of the kingdom of Judah, and his father Solomon was the king of the United Kingdom of Israel. Now you may be thinking why the father was the king of the United Kingdom of Israel and the son the king of the kingdom of Judah. Well, that's because under Solomon's reign, the northern tribes of Israel felt mistreated, and when Rehoboam took over, instead of mending the situation, he doubled down, causing a revolution. Obviously, the parallel of revolution is evident in the show, but why would Sarek and Liam Dempsey Sr. name their system that's supposed to make the world a better place after a king that, from all accounts, displayed arrogance and, quite frankly, did a shitty job? Sure, Solomon is described to be a man of prestige and genius, necessary attributes to propel Israel's success, even if some of its people felt mistreated. Maybe they thought this original system would suffice, and that no upgrade would be needed. And when they did need an upgrade, they just stuck with the name, kind of like some sort of intellectual nepotism. I personally would have started with Solomon's father, David. That's right, the David that beat Goliath. Now, that's a jumping off point. I tend to think the name was intentional, so why choose Rehoboam? Maybe Sarek means to not negotiate with the rebels, in this case the host. Or it could be that Sarek foresees a future where there is a split, ushering in a time of civil war between humanity and the host, akin to the split of Israel under Rehoboam's rule. In the Book of Kings it states, "So the Lord became angry with Solomon, because his heart had turned from the Lord God of Israel. Therefore the Lord said to Solomon, Because you have done this, and have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom away from you and give it to your servant. Nevertheless, I will not do it in your days, for the sake of your father David. I will tear it out of the hand of your son," which we know to be Rehoboam. Ultimately, it was God that took the kingdom from Rehoboam, thus taking away his free will, much like how Sarek is using the Rehoboam system to take away the free will of humanity. Also in Kings it states that Judah did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and they provoked him to jealousy with their sins which they committed, more than all their fathers had done. Maybe this can allude to Sarek defying these new gods, the hosts, like Rehoboam, and leading a separate state against the revolution, only this time correcting the mistakes by using its namesake as a weapon against the opposition. It could be that Sarek viewed Rehoboam as betraying the people of Israel, by heeding the wrong advice by tightening his grip, where he views himself as being able to control this version of Rehoboam, thus rewriting history in a sense. But that is all to be determined. It could just be that the writers chose to go with a clever metaphor for the themes of the show and its audience, rather than worrying about what it means in the context of this world. Or maybe it could be Ford that is God in this scenario, and Dolores Jeroboam. Jeroboam was made the king of Israel after its rebellion against Rehoboam. Again in Kings, God states that he raised Jeroboam from among the people, and made him a leader over God's people, and states that he has done more evil than all those who lived before you. This could foreshadow Dolores' continued departure from what Ford envisioned, thus showing that neither Rehoboam or Dolores are the answer for a better world, rather something or someone else's, possibly Maeve. The name can also be translated to meaning he enlarges the people, which could be a metaphor for what Sarek wants to do with this system. Also, I found a definition of Rehoboam that says a wine bottle about 6 times the standard size. That sounds pretty dope. Putting all that aside for now, let's shift the focus to what Rehoboam's function is and why and what Dolores wants from it. Earlier I mentioned the way the system displays time. These circular timelines may represent Rehoboam's ability to interpret time in a non-linear fashion. This concept has been explored many times in science fiction, more recently with Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen and the 2016 film Arrival. The timeline shown by Rehoboam looks very similar to the language used by the aliens in Arrival, a language that allows the main character of the movie to see the present and future simultaneously. The theory that Rehoboam can view past, present, and future simultaneously is not that much of a stretch, seeing as it's been explained by Liam and Sarek as being able to know what's going to happen in the future. On the Insight website, it says that Rehoboam has 1,000 years of recorded human history, along with presumably data on everyone in the world. This could be the reason why Dolores wants to attain this system. In Season 2, Dolores learns that humans have 10,247 lines of code, effectively putting them in a loop like the host in the park. To Dolores, only the hosts have the ability to possess free will, making them superior. While the hosts may be more complex than humans, I think that the introduction of Rehoboam disputes Dolores' assumption in Season 2, which is why she is so eager to obtain it. We see in our world how we use data to try and predict certain aspects of life. Somebody with a certain genetic makeup and past experiences will be more likely to do something than someone with a different set of circumstances. We use this information to make educated guesses, but it's impossible to fully predict due to the tremendous amounts of variables. Sometimes people just beat the odds. Dolores may be right in assessing that humans are only 10,247 lines of code, but that's not enough. That's where the Rehoboam comes into play. It may be impossible to prove that determinism is some omnipresent philosophy that controls every action of every human, but with the Rehoboam system you could develop a form of determinism in which you can predict or rewrite somebody's future, depending on the path you put them on. If we assume that in the Westworld universe that everybody has their genetic makeup and past experiences documented through companies such as Insight, Rehoboam would be able to make accurate predictions on the future if society followed the path it created for them. For example, if A plus B equals C, A being a human's code, and B represented the path of the system created for an individual, then C would be the future of that individual. Obviously, that's an oversimplistic representation, as there are more variables than you can count. But if Rehoboam is able to remove all of those variables, then its algorithm could analytically predict one's future. And if Sarek is not using this to bet on sports, then honestly, what's the point?
This is how I win. All right?
As for Dolores, while the host may be stronger, faster, and smarter than the average human, she's going to need more than brute force to win her revolution. If she is able to upload the code of the Rehoboam into hers, then she would truly be godlike, an omnipresent force seeing over the new world she has created. One of the most prominent theories of determinism is the theory of Laplace's demon, a theory developed in the early 19th century by the French philosopher Pierre-Simon Laplace. The theory describes an intellect, which at any given moment knows all the forces that animate nature and the mutual positions of the beings that comprise it. Taken from Laplace's philosophical essays on probabilities, this theory could come to represent the power Dolores will have if she accesses Rehoboam. If she's able to manipulate the system to control humanity by fully understanding their future movements, or even rewriting their future, then there will be no stopping her from achieving her goal. Only time will tell. But like how Sarek didn't account for Dolores, Dolores hasn't accounted for Maeve, the wildcard host who was strong enough to stop her. Maeve's motivations will depend on her feelings towards characters like Caleb, average human beings who are unaware of the impending host rebellion. I believe that newcomer Aaron Paul will play a big part in this show's delve into determinism. His character Caleb is shown to be unsatisfied with his current life, saying that he's looking for something real. By the end of the first episode, Caleb has started a new path with Dolores. Similar to William in Season 1, an injured Dolores falls into Caleb's arms, and their journey together may prove that human beings can obtain free will. You can imagine that many people share Caleb's sentiments, feeling stuck on a path that they can't escape. It could be Caleb's departure from this loop that shows Dolores that there is more to humanity than meets the eye. So far, most of Dolores' experiences with humans have been with the elites, the rich and powerful men and women who tortured the hosts in Westworld for 3 decades. Now with Caleb, Dolores is experiencing humanity on a blue-collar level. She may sympathize with Caleb and people like Caleb when she realizes they are also being marginalized by society. The victim of my enemy is my potential friend.
Who are you, Dolores?
You and I are a lot alike. They put you in a cage, decided what your life would be. They did the same thing to me.
But you've been watching me.
Not me, but someone. Something has.
Obviously, this is all speculation, but one of the best parts about Westworld is that it inspires its audience to think outside of the box and try to connect the dots. But it's quite fun to try to solve the puzzle that is the show Westworld. And I can't wait for episode 3 to come along and just blow everything I just mentioned to shreds, thus making this video irrelevant. Hey, at least that will mean we can make another one next week.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and of course we would like to thank our Patreon supporters. Without you guys, Nerd Soup wouldn't be Nerd Soup. Seriously, your support is what keeps the fridge full, so thank you once again for your support. If you are interested in supporting Nerd Soup through Patreon, visit our page and check out the different rewards we offer to our fans. If not, then no problem. We appreciate anyone who takes time from their day to watch our videos. So thank you to each and every one of you out there watching, and remember to like and share this video. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like it. Or don't.